Man, oh man, it has been one wild ride in December, and it's only going to get more crazy as we turn the clocks into 2025. Today was an interesting day, man. We got two major stories, one of which I actually commented on yesterday on social media, yesterday morning before any of this news broke, because I didn't really understand it, and I was actually quite bothered by it. Just the sheer stupidity of it is what I was bothered by. People in AEW are appalled at Tony Khan's recent booking decision over Toni Storm. Why? We'll get into it. And Tessa Blanchard, yes, Tessa Blanchard, a name that you guys have not heard from or heard of in many years, is now back with a major promotion, signed with TNA, will debut this weekend, and a lot of people are unhappy about it. Why? We will go over it all right here today on Off the Script. We'll start with Tessa Blanchard. We'll start with Tessa. Some wrestlers are not happy that the news broke today that Tessa Blanchard is indeed returning to TNA. Now, this was broken by PW Insider and the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and I'm taking this one directly from Fightful. As was written about earlier, Tessa Blanchard is poised for a return to TNA as early as next month. This news has not been met with overwhelming happiness. It's been met with disbelief and concern from many within the wrestling community, including talent at AEW and within WWE. The news about Blanchard's TNA return was first reported by the Wrestling Observer newsletter and then followed up by Fightful, with added notes about reactions from people within the industry. Now, Blanchard's departure from TNA in 2020 was marred by allegations of racial slurs and bullying behavior, making her a very controversial figure in the pro wrestling space. Now, while she and victim here in this story, La Rosa Negra, the alleged target of racial slurs, they have been photographed together in recent years, but there has been no public apology from Tessa Blanchard herself. The decision to bring Blanchard back reportedly comes from a top person in Anthem, the parent company of TNA, despite warnings from others within the organization. The news has been kept quiet to avoid internal backlash, as many remain uncomfortable with Tessa's past actions. The current plan is for Blanchard to return as a heel and quickly win the Knockouts World Championship from Jordynne Grace, who has reportedly resisted working with Blanchard. Some speculate that TNA is bringing in Blanchard to compensate for the potential departures of top stars like Speedball Mike Bailey, Jordynne Grace, and Josh Alexander. Now, Blanchard's return is a gamble, a huge gamble for TNA. While her talent is undeniable, says Fightful, her past behavior has made her a very divisive figure. It remains to be seen whether she can successfully navigate this new chapter in her career. Whether TNA can manage the potential fallout of her return remains to be seen. Oh my God, man, there's a lot to unpack there. I know a lot of people are already going to have a decision made on what they are going to say and what they're going to think about Tessa Blanchard. The one thing from this story that really jumped off the page to me is the fact that a top person in Anthem, the parent company to TNA, despite warnings from others within the organization, still went ahead and did the deed to bring in Tessa Blanchard. And then the news was kept quiet to avoid internal backlash, as many remain uncomfortable with Blanchard's past actions. So they hired somebody. This is what I don't get. They hired somebody who worked there previously, went and ran away from all of her problems, and lived and wrestled in Mexico. The news was kept quiet to avoid internal backlash. So you're bringing in someone with the notion and the idea that you know it's not going to go over well, but you're doing it anyway. And you're going to upset your roster, and you don't care that you're upsetting your roster. Many within the organization don't like this decision. you're just going to go ahead and do it anyway. I don't really understand how a decision like that, you bring that decision to higher ups and they say, that's a good idea, man. Let's go and do that. I don't really get it. Are the people running Anthem, are the people who are running TNA, respect the people that are working on their weekly television show? Apparently not. If I'm an employee there and I have a problem with this, a big problem with this, I'm fucking pissed. I'm going to do and think what I want, and I'm going to make the appropriate adjustments and the proper adjustments to what happens with my future when my contract is up. Why do I want to stay with people that clearly don't give a shit about our well-being, don't give a shit about what we say, and just go and do these decisions when there's an overwhelming majority of people that don't want this decision to be made? I don't get it. They just do what they do because they're looking to scrape whatever notoriety they can, and they want to be a bigger player than they really are. And they feel like going the controversial route is the best way to do that. I don't really have a problem with Tessa as far as a professional performer. I think she's great. She's fantastic. Probably one of the best women's wrestlers in the entire world. I am all for giving someone a second chance. Always. The problem with this is everybody, I wouldn't say everybody, but a good majority of people would have given Tessa a second chance if she did one thing that she was supposed to do that she did not do in 2020. All she needed to do was give a public, genuine, heartfelt, sincere apology. And that's it. That's all she needed to do. She could have still did what she did. She still could have went to Mexico, live in Mexico, work in Mexico, and just be out of the public eye. But all you should have done before any of that other shit happened was give a public apology and have it come off as genuine and sincere. At that point, it would live on to where we see her now and see this situation now. We'd look back at that, and it would be up to you, the wrestling fan, up to you, the viewer, to say, you know what? I'm willing to give Tessa Blanchard a second chance. I think she's great. We all deserve a second chance. I believe she's heartfelt and sincere in her apology. You would have had a lot of those people, and it would have been completely up to you to say, you know what? I heard the apology. I'm going to make a decision myself, and I am not really going to accept her apology. I want nothing to do with Tessa Blanchard. That would have been fine. That would have been your opinion. Completely up to you, man. But at least it would have been out there. At least it would have been out there. At least it would have been out there for the roster and the locker room that she's just going to walk right into. You're walking into a locker room that doesn't like the situation, that doesn't like you, and now you're walking into a locker room without a public apology. How things would be different if there was a public apology out there and then you walked into this locker room. At least they'd have something from you. Now they got nothing. Now they got nothing. You're walking on in here. The plan is to make you the women's world champion. For doing what? For doing what? Because the company is losing major stars, because they want to go somewhere else and find a different avenue in their career that they could possibly build on. You're bringing in someone like this to offset all of the talent that you're losing without a public apology. I find that to be just fucking batshit crazy, man. I don't get it. I don't really understand it. How things would be different from a fan perspective. How things would be different from a locker room perspective. At least an apology would have been out there, and people could make their own determinations on whether they believe it or whether they think she's full of shit. But at least it's out there. At least it's out there. Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace reportedly pushed back on the idea of working with Tessa Blanchard. Jordan Grace has been a model employee. She's one of the nicest people that you could probably ever meet, man. She's come through House of Glory a couple times. I haven't interacted with her. Actually, I have interacted with her. I interviewed her for House of Glory many years ago. She's fucking great. The sweetest, the nicest person. Unbelievable. The fact that you are asking Tessa to come on in and then asking Jordan to put her over and make her the world champion. After she said, this doesn't work for me, man. I'm not for this. Anybody else, man? Can we do anybody else? Someone like that has busted their back, that has given you legitimately everything, that has stayed with you longer than she really had to, given you everything, made that division what it is, made that division one of the best in all of pro wrestling as far as how people perceive it. A locker room leader that is going to be gone in a couple of weeks to WWE, going to be sorely missed. That's how you treat her? That's how you go about doing business with one of your most loyal stars, maybe ever. I find that to be doing Jordan Grace dirty, man. I don't really stand behind that whatsoever. If Jordan doesn't want to do something, she should be at a position that gives her the right not to do it, and you should be fucking okay with it. You should be absolutely, all right, man, let's do something else. We'll go in a different direction. Drop the title to somebody else. But Tessa, who hasn't apologized to anybody, you want her to come on in, and you want Jordan to do the job of putting Tessa over. I understand putting others over on your way out, but this is not the right way to do that, man. It's not. I find that to be a fucking slap in the face, a disrespectful one with a fucking swift kick of Jordan Grace in the ass out the door. Goodbye. You're going to WWE. Goodbye. We knew you were going to WWE for months. This is now your punishment for it. I don't understand that. And then the Tessa Blanchard, we're bringing her in because they want to offset and compensate for the potential departure of Speedball Mike Bailey, Jordan Grace, and Josh Alexander. You're trading those three for Tessa Blanchard. What about building from within? There's nobody else on the independent circuit that you want to build upon. Listen, man, all sports franchises and all sports teams go through a phase where they got a great stacked roster or a lineup or a fucking starting lineup, whatever. And then they, over time, don't have that same starting lineup, and they have to go through a rebuilding phase. I'm not going to say TNA is going through a rebuilding phase, but you're losing some pretty top-tier guys here, and women. It's all right to go and scour the independent circuit, bring someone on in who's got fucking super potential, and start building them up as your next Speedball Mike Bailey, or your next Jordan Grace, or your next Josh Alexander. Why do we have to go to the most toxic of situations and use controversy to get ahead here? I don't really get it. None of what I said here would really matter in the context that I'm making it matter if there was a fucking public apology. That's it. That's all she had to do, and she didn't do it. So I don't know why we're rewarding her with Jordan Grace in the TNA Women's Knockout Championship, if that is truly the plan. Also, what does this do to TNA and their big venue tour of 2025? Los Angeles, New York. They just announced UBS Arena here on Long Island. It's a big fucking place. TNA is going to sell out the UBS Arena? I don't really think so. But you bringing in Tessa Blanchard could potentially harm any of those shows from being bigger because of it. Now, Tessa Blanchard coming on in, how many fans are going to say, well, I can't support this company. I'm not going to support this company bringing this person in on here, racial slurs, bullying behavior, this and that, no apology. How many people are going to throw their hands up in the air and say, I'm done with TNA? I just got off the phone with Jesse an hour ago. You know what he told me? If I was watching and still covering TNA and they brought Tessa Blanchard in, I would stop covering TNA and stop watching TNA. Can't get any more genuine than that. Guy loves pro wrestling just like the rest of us. How many TNA fans are going to think that? The diehard fans may not give a shit, but the semi-regular casual viewers who tune in every week, who know of the situation and know Tessa Blanchard, if they want to get on in and start enjoying TNA and they look at this situation and the company doing Jordan Grace dirty and then bringing Tessa Blanchard on in, not giving a shit what the locker room and the roster feels, how many of you are going to throw your hands up in the air and say, stop watching? It's a very It's a very dicey situation, but it's certainly a decision here in 2024 as we close the door on 2024. I don't really get it. But one thing remains certain. An apology should have been stated back 4 years ago. We haven't gotten that. We're still talking about the fucking apology that never came. And now you want to bring her on in here as if nothing fucking happened. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section below how you feel about this situation. Great wrestler. I swear to God, man, I wish her nothing but the best. I hope she kills it. But as far as a company decision to do that for the TNA locker room and Jordan Grace in this story, what a fucking shit show, man. She does not deserve that at all. Nobody there does. Now, did she apologize personally to these people? We don't know. But it's all about perception in the public eye, man. The public knows one thing and one thing only. They know where you left off. They don't know anything else. The jury is out, man. The jury is out. Social media and the jury is out. They made a decision on you, and that decision is final. You think coming back 4 years later is going to change that fact? Make the absence makes the heart grow fonder. No. Not in this case, man. Not in this case whatsoever. She should be ashamed of herself, and a public apology, even if it comes now, is too little, too late. Tony Khan. Feel like he is the fucking official mascot of Off the Script here, man. Every single thing that I read, every single AEW situation that I read, man, I just go back and look at Tony Khan and I say, I don't really understand how clueless this man is. I don't get it. Tony Storm returned to AEW on Dynamite Wednesday after Mariah May defeated Mina Shirakawa to retain the AEW Women's Championship. She showed up at the end of the match. She comes back under her old rocker gimmick. What is old is new again. No more timeless Tony Storm, and that's the way the show went off the air. So it looks like we're building towards either Mariah and Thunder Rosa at World's End, because Thunder Rosa was in the crowd holding up some meme signs. I don't know if they got something going on there. And then obviously we all know, if you guys watch the product, AEW's got this Australian show coming up, and it looks like Tony and Mariah may be the main event of that show, and we crown Tony Storm as the new women's champion once again. That kind of makes sense to me. But then the news broke after Dynamite that Tony Storm's return and her return match is taking place on Rampage Friday. Yes, the show that is about to be canceled in 3 weeks. The show that is completely dead and has been dead since the CM Punk episode. The show is dead. The show is watched by nobody. Nobody in the wrestling space gives a legit fuck about AEW Rampage. But here we are. So I went on social media and I said this in regards to Tony Storm and her debut taking place on AEW Rampage. And look at the time that I tweeted what I said about Tony Storm. This was yesterday morning in regards to what happened here. Imagine booking your most popular superstar in the entire division and her return on a dead show that only the biggest losers care about. Tony is fucking clueless. This should undoubtedly be promoted for their A show. You already booked Cardona for that show. He's going one-on-one with Brian Keith, by the way. Why do you need Tony Storm? And that is what I put on social media yesterday, right before lunchtime, 11:57 a.m. That's what I put on social media. Now I hear from Brian Alvarez and the Wrestling Observer that people in AEW are appalled by recent booking decisions at Tony Khan, most notably this one. While speaking on Observer Live, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez discussed the backstage reaction to the booking decision of Storm working Rampage in her first match back. Brian Alvarez says this, and I quote, "Hey, you called it during the break. There are people that will argue anything. Do you know how many people I talked to in AEW yesterday? And every last single one of them was aghast. Aghast might not even be the right word. Appalled that Tony Storm's return is happening on Rampage. Meanwhile, leave it to the fans, leave it to the wackos who say this is a great idea. He's got to give his fans a worthwhile show those last 3 weeks of the canceled show," says Brian Alvarez. Meanwhile, there's actually other shows that aren't going to be canceled. Like, God forbid we put this return on Collision, or maybe Dynamite, or how about World's End? Alvarez continued, I swear to God this is true. You could have had 200 people lined up outside Tony Khan's door last night. One by one, all 200 of them could have gone in there and said, this idea is stupid. Do you want to know what would happen at the end of the night? He'd still have done it because that's what happens. People argue things with him every single week, and at the end of the day, Tony Khan does whatever he wants. Gee, man, that sounds familiar. Gee, man, that sounds eerily familiar to one Vince McMahon. And who was the first one who started coining the phrase, Tony Khan is basically Vince McMahon without the sexual allegations? You're looking at him. How many more stories do you need for me to be proven more and more factually correct every single time we talk about what Tony Khan does as far as a creative move? And how nobody is going to get through to him, and how nothing is going to change, and how Eric Bischoff said last week, no hope for AEW. Factually, 100% spot on. You know, what I find funny, and I'm gonna go and place the finger of blame on Tony. I am. I'm also going to place the finger of blame on everybody that works in and around Tony Khan who don't have the fucking balls to really stand up for what is right and say, boss, bro, what are we doing? This is not a good decision. Not a good decision. I don't know why Tony thinks this is a good idea. Only Tony knows why it's a good idea. Nobody will ask him on it. Nobody will challenge him on it because they're all fucking scared to lose whatever media access that AEW provides. They don't care. Nobody cares. All these fluff content creators, they don't give a fuck about anything. They don't. All they care about is lining their own fucking pockets and lining their fucking dead channels with fucking views that are fucking pathetic. Pathetic. It is so fucking sad how people sell out for a single drop of notoriety in this community, all because they got to rub elbows with the fucking people that they see on television, man. You are fucking pathetic. Pathetic. And it makes me, as a fucking true, genuine, honest, upfront content creator, it makes my fucking skin crawl, is what it makes me do, man. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And if I'm fucking feeling feisty, I'll put some fucking graphics up that you guys can hear me yelling over as far as what I think of this fucking community and the pathetic numbers that they're pulling in, all to shill themselves out. For what? A dying product ran by a fucking multi-billionaire who don't give a fuck about anybody but himself. And the people there that work with him, they couldn't be bothered because all they care about is the fucking money that he's lining in their pockets. And they won't want to do anything to risk that easy money coming in. Oh, it's good, Tony. It's a good idea, Tony. That's a great idea, Tony. I think Tony Storm coming back on Rampage is fucking great. We got to give the fans something to hang their head on for 3 weeks left to go for this dead fucking show. I don't really understand how a decision like this is brought to somebody. Yeah, it's a good idea, man. I don't get it. And then you wonder why I say what I say, and then you wonder why I do what I do. Yet I gotta get fucking flack. Always a grifter, always a hater, always this, always that. Why do you make things personal? Why do you always yell at Tony Khan? Why do you call him a clueless hack? Because he's a fucking clueless hack. He's a clueless fucking hack. He's a fucking idiot. How many times do we need to tell him what is right and what is wrong? And how many times is he not gonna listen to us? Once upon a time, he did listen to us. Now he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He don't care. Toni Storm is the most valuable and the most over woman in that entire division. And you bring her back to debut her return as this rocker Tony, away from Timeless, on a fucking show that does less than 200,000 viewers every single week, that has absolutely nobody in the 18 to 49 demo watching, and that will be canceled in 3 weeks when we turn the calendar over to 2025. How is that a sound, creative move? Why? I would genuinely be curious to know why nobody is pushing him on this in the community. He's interviewed by this one, that one, this one, that one. He's got fucking 16 burner accounts. I know he sees the criticisms. Where are they? Where are all the usual suspects out there, man? I don't hear nothing. I don't see nothing, man. Everything's great in AEW. Everything's great in AEW. Tony Khan should be ashamed of how AEW has ended this year. Since All In, this has been the worst year of AEW in its existence. Terrible. Nothing can be saved. There is no hope. And I don't see any change coming in 2025. You could hype up simulcasting. You could hype up this. You could hype up that. Stadium shows, Texas, whatever the fucking case may be, man. Fucking Costco family. Get the fuck out of here, man. Are you out of your fucking mind? Everything else that needs to be a priority, it's not. All the things that need to be fixed, they're not. No, but as long as he flies fucking, boom, to Globe Life Field on the private jet, everything is fucking going great in AEW. This woman's the biggest name in your entire division, and then that's how you treat. Perception is everything, you fucking hack. Perception is everything. Same thing about Jamie Hayter, debuting her, right? Or having her return, show up at All In on the fucking pre-show, which was forgotten by the time the actual show started. How many people complained that I complained about that? I'm still waiting for my apology based on that one story. Who was right again, sickos? It's the guy that you deem, oh, he's not for us anymore, man. He's against us. I'm only trying to help you fucking idiots out. That's what you don't understand. I'm trying to help you out. This woman is the biggest name in your division. She should be treated as such, and her return should not be on fucking Rampage. Should be on the A show only or at World's End. That's it. I don't understand why we're bringing her back on a show nobody's going to watch, nobody's going to see it, nobody's going to care about it. But Tony cares. Tony saw it. That's all that matters. Everything else, everybody else, doesn't matter in this situation. Appalled? I've been appalled with AEW Creative since fucking All In. Nothing has changed, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel for it to get better. Zero. Thank you guys very much for all your support. If you guys want to support, you can certainly do that. Hit that thumbs up down below. Make sure you guys leave a comment down below. Every comment helps me out, gets the video in the algorithm. Would love to see it. Especially after today, man, we need to get this message out there. So please leave a comment, leave that thumbs up. Thank you very much for all your support. We will be live tonight for Friday Night SmackDown right here on Off the Script. And then tomorrow night, we got the big one, man, Saturday night's main event. And I'll be live after that show is over. Can't wait to share that with you all. And please make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's X, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Until tonight, guys, for SmackDown right here live, I'll see you later.